Your team isn't ignoring your work instructions, they potentially can't read them. Have you ever given work instructions to a particular worker or even to the team and the job doesn't get done, or it doesn't get done properly, or they come back and ask you the same question 3 times? Before you assume that they're just not interested or they're not listening to you, consider this. According to the Australian Dyslexia Association, it could be as many as 1 in 5 in Australia is dyslexic. So that's 1 in 5 people struggle with reading, writing, and remembering tasks. From my experience managing family farms and corporate farms, and so therefore managing hundreds of workers around Australia, I'm assuming this number is more likely 1 in 3 in agriculture. So that's potentially 33% of our industry struggling to receive our instructions, whether they be work instructions or safety instructions. Today I'm going to share with you 3 practical ways to communicate with your team and to communicate work instructions and safety instructions so that they're inclusive and so that they get heard, and therefore you increase productivity on your farm. When I first started managing people and safety in agriculture, I honestly had no idea about dyslexia. Of course, I could think of people at school that might have struggled with different learning tasks or needed more time or struggled with their reading. Even in personal and family settings, I had experienced this, but I didn't really have a name to it. And when I first met Thomas, who came to us as a work experience kid from a school, and his mum Jenny had informed me that Thomas had dyslexia and so wouldn't be able to read his contract on his own or read our 75-page employee policy manual. Who wants to read a 75-page document anyway? That really opened my eyes, and it took me a while to really come to terms with what I was going to do going forward in terms of ensuring that primarily safety instructions got across, but then also work instructions were being delivered in the right manner as well. I even recall at a group induction for harvest, and Thomas was in the team, and I just assumed that at least he'd be able to follow through on page numbers. You know, we're now up to page 15 of 75. But there was a struggle with that too, and just keeping up. So over time, I've really learnt, and I credit this to Thomas actually, in teaching me along the way and being so patient with me learning the best ways to communicate and to ensure that he was included in team instructions and could excel, because he was a brilliant operator and had a really good mindset for solving problems and creating new ways of doing things. So until I could comprehend how to ensure that I was inclusive for him and provided inclusive materials and communication methods, then I was going to be failing as a manager and not giving him the opportunity. So it was a real eye-opener, and I'm really happy to share that with you and the ways that I found work over the years since meeting a lot of people with dyslexia. It's a really exciting discovery, I think, because the mobile phone, the car, the aeroplane, I've said it before, they were all invented by people with dyslexic thinking. Richard Branson is dyslexic, we all know. So there's a lot of incredible people with dyslexia, and if 33% of our workers are dyslexic, oh my goodness, what potential we have untapped. So let's first tackle this first challenge of ensuring that our safety and work instructions are presented to them in an inclusive and easy way for them to comprehend, and so we can increase efficiencies and increase productivity. Before we go through the 3 points or 3 suggestions that have helped me in terms of getting the safety messages across, have you identified who is dyslexic in your team? Generally, you can tell by looking at their strengths, and that is that they just have incredible ways of solving problems. They've got really good spatial awareness skills, and just have a very creative mind. And that's something that we all need to learn to tap into, particularly in our industry when there's such high needs for solving so many of our industry problems. It can also be a sensitive issue because you don't want to ask somebody if they are struggling with reading or writing if in fact they're not. But the more you're open and the more that you talk about inclusive systems and not giving out too many instructions in writing so that you are inclusive, the more you'll find people will actually open up to you. At one stage, I had 19 dyslexic workers that I was managing across several family farms, and of the 19, only one had told their boss of their challenges with reading and writing. They were all afraid of not getting that next raise or that next promotion opportunity, or being teased and being embarrassed within their team. They were not putting their hand up to get more training. They were saying no to training, like truck driver licenses, because they were so afraid of failing the written test. Now all 19 have an open communication channel with their bosses, and the majority of the managers feel absolutely terrible that they didn't know this beforehand and had assumed for other reasons that these people were not taking up training or extra licenses. And now 2 of them are now farm managers, and a lot of them have gone for extra licenses, including the new telehandler license and the truck license, and having open communications with their managers. And their managers are managing better because now they're being more inclusive for their team and finding that their team's more productive. So first one is to limit lengthy text messages with instructions. They're just not going to be read, and it's upsetting for the person trying to read it that they can't, when they're trying to impress you and to ensure that they do a really great job and do a safe job too. So limit the lengthy text messages and replace them instead with using the radio if you're both in the paddock, or with a video. Record yourself like I am now. Record yourself and send it to the team. If you've got a WhatsApp group chat, put some instructions and work instructions maybe on a Sunday or whenever you like to relay your messages to the team, or even daily, do a little video. And if the video doesn't suit you or you can't talk over the radio, then just ensure that you catch up with them on a one-on-one basis or give them a phone call. So you can still send through text messages, just keep them really brief and point form, and it might just be a one-liner or two-liner, and just be mindful of that. But otherwise, give them a phone call. Generally, people with dyslexia would prefer to talk to you over the phone. The second one I talk about a lot, and that's the importance of a toolbox meeting every Monday where possible. It's not always possible, but I can't stress it enough, and so many farms just don't do it. A lot of the time it is because there's nobody who actually wants to lead the meeting and stand up in front of everybody, but that's where you need to think about who your safety leader is, and I have a video on that, so you can go and check that out, how to identify a safety leader within your team. But if you can find this person and make sure that these meetings are happening regularly, even if there's only 2 of you there for the day and the rest of the team are away, still have them, and just send out a video of it or messages or whatever you can, or somehow get those notes out there. But have that regular toolbox meeting. Again, because it's not in writing, it is face-to-face, it is a verbal situation, then this message is going to get across, and so are the work instructions. So I have a template for toolbox meetings, and I'm really happy to share that with you. So just send me a message. In the comments of this video will be my email address, and also a link to our website so that you can sing out and I can send you through our template for a toolbox meeting. And the third point is to confirm that your team received the safety instructions. Don't just assume that they did. Don't just think, well, I told them, so now they know. Just telling them is not training them. Just telling them is not reinforcing your work instructions. Check in with them, make sure that they understood what the instructions were. Maybe even give them a call in an hour into the job just to see where they're at with it. But also reinforce the instructions or the work jobs to be done on I say this with trepidation, on a whiteboard. So when you start learning more about dyslexia, one of the challenges is reading off a white page. And so the fact that we have whiteboards just seems crazy. So I'm going to say this with trepidation, but writing the instructions, because we only have white boards, if we could have another color like a blue or similar, then great, but right now we only have whiteboards. So if you have a whiteboard in your workshop, even putting it up on that just in dot point form as to what those jobs were for reinforcement. But even better is to check in with your team and with your workers and just ensure that they understood the safety instructions. It makes such a difference. You really want your team to be performing at their best every hour and not wasting an hour because they're too nervous to ask you because they didn't understand the instructions. So it's really worth your time just taking that 5 or 10 minutes to check in with them. So a quick recap on sharing safety and work instructions with your team is to say it verbally, and then to meet face to face, and then to check in. Your team wants to do a good job for you. They really want to impress you. So if jobs are regularly coming back, not finished, not completed, not done properly, it's most likely because the instructions weren't heard correctly. So if you just follow these 3 steps and these 3 tricks, then I'm sure you see a big improvement in your team, in your productivity, in your efficiencies, and who doesn't want that? For more tips and tricks on managing safety and people in your team, then you can visit our YouTube channel or our website. Both links are in the comments of this video. And as always, stay safe and have fun.